don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's been a minute. I feel like we haven't done this show in in a month, man.
Well, it's been 3 weeks, I think. So
3 weeks.
About that.
Okay, so yeah, just about. Right? I got a new job. Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got my Twitter hacked and I lost it. What'd you do on your spring vacation?
Just on my summer vacation, we won a
Stanley Cup.
We won a Stanley Cup down here, and DJ won an NBA title. And,
oh my gosh!
Yeah, so we're doing all right. I think we're doing okay. But no. Aside from that, I mean, shout out to the Florida Panthers for their Stanley Cup win. Obviously, they were going crazy not last night, but yesterday during the day over in Fort Lauderdale Beach off A1A, which I will be there tomorrow. So hopefully it's all been dissipated by now. All the madness is gone. Although Matthew Tkachuk might be in one of those bars still hanging out, passed out in the corner somewhere. So I might see him out there.
But I will tell you.
You might be in the ocean somewhere.
I've seen the Cup won all those times, but definitely I have to say the most innovative thing that was done with the Cup was Matthew Luongo eating pasta and cheese out of it.
Roberto Luongo.
Luongo.
Yeah. When he ate the pasta out of it, that was
innovative.
That and diving into the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah,
right?
Those things were done before, but I've never seen anybody eat pasta out of one.
Have they? They've dove it in the ocean before with it? I didn't know that.
I thought, what's his name? Yeah, you're probably right. It never has.
That's pretty cool. Either way, it's very Miami of them. We're very South Florida of them because we don't want to, disrespect Sunrise in Broward County. I know that's their team. So,
but only in South Florida could you have a Stanley Cup parade with 99% rain and lightning and thunder all throughout.
Oh yeah,
it wouldn't be South Florida without it.
Tell me about it. It was fun. But we are here for something else, and it's Canes football. Look, listen. The truth is, we went through a little bit of a lull there, where it was kind of quiet, right? Not a lot of things going on the front. Well, behind the scenes, obviously, there was a ton going on, as our recruiting department has been killing it on the trail. So we're definitely going to get into that today. Miami with about 4 to 5 commitments in the past week or two. Some really big time prospects. Some guys that I know the Miami fan base is going to be excited about. The coaching staff is super psyched about. And we've got some more that might be coming on the horizon this week as well. So a couple more prospects that are going to be declaring within the next few days or so. So we'll kind of give you some information on that also.
Definitely.
But earlier today, myself and Blue spoke about a couple of prospects on 560, and look, I mean, some of the guys that Miami is starting to recruit. I know we actually a couple of weeks ago we had two or three offensive line commits in those big kids, Campbell. God, I can't remember the other kid's name now. So it's so many that you kind of lose track of them. But recently we had
Jaden Wilkerson.
Jaden Wilkerson, that was his name, right? And what was the other kid's name?
The Campbell.
Was it Campbell? Was it Jordan Campbell? Jordan Campbell,
yeah,
right?
Orlando Christian. No, Jordan is the kid that will be picking up in the 2026 class.
You're right.
This is a kid from Orlando Christian, Demetrius Campbell.
Demetrius Campbell. There you go. So some big offensive linemen. You're looking at like 6'6", 230. Some big boys. 6'6", 330, not 230. 230 will be very small. But
they climbed from 25 to 15 in the last 3 days.
Yeah, it's been a big move, and they're going to be moving up a little bit more after the end of the week. So we're excited to talk about that. Let's kind of get into it because I know Vish is dying to talk about recruiting and these players because this is his forte. He loves this stuff. So, here we go. No, honestly, you had him on your show today, Blue. I've heard him on tape before. I saw the video of when he committed. Max Buchanan is a guy that just strikes me as a kid that's going to come in, and some guys are not going to like him right off the bat because he's going to come in and try to take someone's spot. He is a mean machine at the offensive line position. About 6'3", 300 pounds right now. Goes to these rivals 7-on-7 and rivals drill camps and whatnot all over the country. Kills it in these camps and these showcases, and then goes ahead and commits on one of the at one of the rival showcases this past weekend. Talk to me a little bit about Max Buchanan, Blue. What you like about him? He plays tackle now. Is he going to stay there?
No, he'll move into guard center spot. He feels that's his strength. And oftentimes when you have these kids at the high school level, they got to play positions that they're normally not going to play, like Derek Cooper at Chaminade Madonna is playing running back, but he'll be a safety linebacker at the next level. It's just sometimes you have to do that, and that's what he's doing to help his team win. As nice as he is off the field, he's a dog. I mean, he hates getting beat in those drills, and then he'll pancake you just to pancake you, so, and that's the demeanor Miami needs. They have a bunch of good sized kids. And like you said, when he says he's coming to take somebody's job, he's not kidding. It'll be hopefully like the year after when Ty Wise's son comes down here, who's already rated as the #1 center in the country in every class. So as soon as he comes down, it'll be the same thing. And that's how it is at schools like Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia. They get those dudes are ready to plug and play. And, certainly he's going to be one of them. One of the guys that you mentioned at the end that's going to be committing at the end of the week will be another one of those kids that's a plug and play kid. He'll be the highest rated player Miami has in this class. So, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. So,
yeah, really excited about that.
But yeah, he's definitely a dude, and I had him on this week. Last week I had an opportunity to have the two defensive back commits, one from Central, one from Chaminade on. This is, like I said, they went up from 23 to 15 in 247's class. And I think when the bell rings on this class, it'll be top 10, top 8.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Before you know it, look, it's all gonna depend on how well they play this year. Of course, you've got the December signing period, which is your early signing period, but it's not no more. I mean, at this point, it's just your regular signing period. I know that Miami's kind of loading up already, but they've got some space for some big time prospects that they're going after. And before it's all said and done, if Miami has one of those years where they win 10 games and they go to a nice bowl game, they even make a playoff, you're probably talking about a top 5 class again.
Sure.
So
Sure.
It's there. Obviously we know how well Mario recruits and that whole staff. Derek Nicholson I think he's a silent assassin on that team when it comes to recruiting. He might be one of the best recruiters in the country. I know Kevin Beard got that distinction this year, as well as Jason Taylor and some other guys on there. But I think Derek Nicholson is a top-notch guy. He's a great teacher, and I think that his recruiting prowess is something that people don't respect enough, and I think you're starting to see why he's really good. Look at that defensive, that linebacker class that he has, which we'll get into now. But DJ, the big uglies, man, Max Buchanan, a big-time offensive lineman, coming in to play for Miami next year. What do you think about his prospects coming into play here for the Canes?
I like him because he's very agile in what he can do. He's not a stiff lineman. He can move real well, and that's becoming a trend with offensive linemen in today. It's not just enough to block and stay in your spot. It's about blocking for a running back on a screen pass, getting out and creating space for the running backs. Also making sure you're good in pass protection. You have to be versatile to be a lineman today, just due to the offensive nature of the game, and Buchanan provides that. He's really good at not only reading his initial block, but also blocking at the second level when it comes to run plays and creating lanes for the running back. So I think this is a really solid pickup. He can do a little bit of everything, and like Blue alluded to, he can finish plays, he can finish blocks, and that's exactly what you want if you want to build an aggressive line.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's got opportunity here. Look, Vish, I know you don't know much or don't like to know much about specific players, but look, this is 3 offensive linemen in the past couple of weeks that we've recruited. This is obviously a position where Cristobal and Maribel know just about as much as anybody else in the country about. They know how to develop these guys, right? You would initially look at this and say, well, he took 2 3-star prospects and then another 4-star guy. There's nothing to really be excited about because they're not 5-star guys. Again, who the hell cares about stars? But at the end of the day, when it comes to development and knowing how to recruit and pick out and spot talent, Cristobal and Maribel do it just about as good as anybody, especially on the offensive line. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's for them an easier position to recruit because of their pedigree. It's the one position where, they're unquestioned. Mirabel's one of the top offensive line coaches in college football, period. Anyone involved in college football will tell you that. And obviously that's where Cristobal, that's the position he coached before he ascended up the coaching chart there. So
right.
We talk about a lot of these other coaches being good recruiters, which is definitely true. The Canes are, despite the on-field performance, managing to bring in top 10 classes is pretty ridiculous. I think we should probably all acknowledge that they are overcoming their own on-field shortcomings to continue to bring in top-level talent, which hopefully then will catch up to the record. But the one position where you don't really say that is offensive line. Like these are the best of the best, and so it's much easier to bring kids in. And as you pointed out, they develop talent, but they also identify it. So in a position like offensive line, which is notoriously really difficult to scout, the stars don't. We've had, for years, 5 stars, guys NFL rating comes in flops, right? It's just that position is probably the hardest to scout on the high school level. So yeah, having guys with the eye for it that can not only identify the right talent but develop it, huge plus. And no surprise they're continuing to focus there and grow there, because it's 2 things. Even with their ability to scout and develop that position, if you miss there, you're kind of screwed. You can have all the skill players you want. Doesn't matter if the defensive line's in the backfield, right? So getting more numbers in there makes sense. And then, they're going to want to focus there because, again, we're going to want to be a physical team. That's the style he plays, and that puts more emphasis on not just having a dominant offensive line, but being able to rotate guys in, keep them fresh, and really lean on defenses, and that's what they're building towards.
Yep, I agree, and it's all about, like, you notice some of these big schools. That's what they do, man. They develop the depth. They're able to not skip a beat when they're rotating guys. So I think that it's exciting to see what they've done at the offensive line. I don't think they're done at that position either. I think they still want to stack some more chips there. So, but kind of moving along and moving over to the other side of the football, Miami was able to pull in some really big time prospects. I know we didn't even get to talk about Amari Wallace in the past couple of weeks, so let's just kind of bunch them in. Blue, Amari Wallace and Chris Ewald, two guys that you've seen kind of grow up and play the game since they were kids in Pop Warner and moving up. The first one, Amari Wallace, plays for one of the top programs in the state of Florida at Central. A really good prospect at the safety position. I know that he made his mark as well. I mean, I remember seeing him in the state championship. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, where he was just all over the field, man. Looked really good. And I said, this kid, at that point, I'm not sure if he was committed anywhere, but he was a kid that a lot of schools were looking at. A lot of schools, a lot of the top Power 5 schools were looking at. Comes here, commits to the Hurricanes recently. And then you got a kid like Chris Ewald, CJ Ewald, who, a lot of people don't realize that he was recruited and committed to Michigan a few years back when he was a youngin, right? When he was maybe a freshman, sophomore. He was a small kid, 5'9", $160, something like that. But had all the talent in the world. Played both sides of the football, if I'm not mistaken. Now, decommitted from Michigan last year. A lot of people are talking about how he was too small. He wasn't. Now he's almost 6 feet, or he's about 6 feet, 180. If I'm not mistaken, he's one of the top cornerbacks in the state of Florida. Plays for one of the top programs. Not only that, has experience playing with Zaquan in the backfield, obviously, at Chaminade. Now Zaquan's over at Miami. But, and I mentioned this on your show, like, do people forget who he was going up against every day in practice?
Yeah.
JoJo Trader, Jeremiah Smith, some of the other really good what was his name? The other wide receiver that's over there at Chaminade that's really
Kyle
good.
Washington.
Kyle Washington, the Washington kid, right? Washington, and some of the other prospects that are there, going up against those guys every day. I mean, if you don't get better, I mean, then you've got something, there's something wrong with you. But now you're talking about a kid that was able to produce and play well because of the guys that he was going up against every day. So now you bring in a kid who's played against that type of talent in high school, and it translates to the next level. Talk to me a little bit about CJ Ewald, and you can kind of talk a little bit about Amari as well. But I was just really impressed with CJ. I really like his skill set. I think he's going to be really good at the next level.
I was listening to something the other day where after he committed, and there were a couple of people who I'm not going to name, but were saying that he was overrated. And I'm thinking, overrated? I mean, for all the things that you just mentioned, Jazz, going against that arsenal of talent every day, playing since he was in the 8th grade at the varsity level at True Prep, along with Zaquan Patterson, and the kid's a man child, and the fact is, he was 5'8" and 5'9", and then everybody got fixed on it. And then when he went to the Rivals camp this year, or I'm sorry, the Under Armour camp this year, I noticed that he and Minka Fitzpatrick's brother had grown so much. I said, oh my gosh, is that Chris Ewald? I mean, he got bigger. He's played year round. His dad coaches on the 7-on-7 team that he plays for, that is loaded up with talent, had Noah Grubbs and all these other guys on it. He's from a skill standpoint, he's a beast, and he's not afraid to stick his nose in it. He's got really loose hips. The kid, he's got really good recovery speed. He's longer than you think. Yeah, he's a really, really good football player. And you look at Wallace, who he's a safety, but he can play corner because he's got that ball skills. And like, he's fast. He's really quick off the ball. He reads very well. High football IQ. Not as high as the other kid that committed, Ezekiel Marcelin, but we'll talk to him in a second about him. But this is what they call nowadays the plug and play kids. I mean, this is a potential plug and play kid because of they need the depth at that position, quality depth. And by getting those two guys, to borrow a quote from Coach Cristobal a couple of weeks ago when we were at one of the camps, and one of the players was walking by and he was walking away, he goes, that's the type of kid you win big games with. I feel the same thing about both Wallace and CJ, and I think that the fact that both of them have played at the highest level. And, 2 years ago, as you mentioned, you alluded to where Wallace was playing against Homestead, and he was going up against a couple pretty good receivers, including a young kid Mills, who I believe just committed to Oklahoma. Those are two really good gets. And I don't know if you want me to elaborate on Ezekiel Marcelin, but
yeah. That's. I mean, it's a good. I guess we can transition to that because
yeah. Well,
let me tell you, Marcelina's is a stud.
Who he reminds me of, and I told you this on the show, and maybe not from the overall package because that remains to be seen. But being 195 pounds, almost 200, Sean Spence was a lot like this. But the only thing that I think that Marcelin separates himself from basically any linebacker is he covers. And this is a kid, remember, he started as a ninth grader on the number 3 team in the country in Central and never skipped a beat. I mean, you hear Wesley Basaint goes, and here you got a freshman coming right on his heels, and he covers extremely well. I watch him work on, on drills against against running backs. And he sticks right with them. He's got a good reach, got great anticipation. Yeah, they got some dudes. I mean, these are guys. Miami's at that level now where you're not, getting those reach guys. But all these guys, linemen are tough to, like you say, and some of the guys line-wise that they got, Wilkerson and then Campbell, that they may be reaches in the fact that they're not that 5-star, but they've got something that Miami likes. And those kids, you've seen those kids develop, in the past to become really, really good offensive linemen.
I agree. Here's my thing that I love about Zeke. Is he takes things personal, right? So he's got kind of like that mean streak. He's got that dog about him, right? So as you mentioned, Blue, they were talking about his weight. They're talking about how he might be too small right now, and the Canes are taking a small linebacker. What's going on with that? Well, I think he took that personally. He took that to heart. And from his latest interview, Blue, he's actually walking around at about 218 right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're talking about a kid that's put in the work, right? This is not 218 at McDonald's and 3 chefs and chicken kitchen, right? This is 218 of muscle. Hold on a second. Apologize for that. This is 218 of muscle. He's coming in and he's put in the work. He's trying to make sure that people understand that he's not joking around, man. This is a kid that's going to come in. And now you're talking about again, Derek Nicholson having one of the best linebacker classes in America. We'll get to the next guy in just a second, but Ezekiel Marcelin comes in 6 feet, 218 pounds, 6'1", 218. By the time he's in college, he's going to be in the 220s, 230s, and you're talking about. That's a guy that you look at him right now and you say this kid could be playing college football right now, and that's what you want to see. You want to see some guys with size and with strength. But DJ Blue mentioned this a little bit, and I kind of wanted to throw this to you and to Vish as well. I'll throw it to Vish on the next guy, but it's not only about the size and strength; it's about the football IQ with these guys, right? So a lot of people always talk about how. You need guys that are big and that are strong and fast. Yes, you need all of that. You need to win like that, right?
Right.
You see the SEC programs of the world that are constantly going after these big, ginormous linebackers and that look like they should be playing defensive end, but they're 240 pounds and playing middle linebacker. The thing is, it's not a problem, is that these guys are smart too. These guys have the IQ. They have the leadership qualities. They understand what it takes to win football games. How important is that also when you put his size and strength and his skill set up with all those other intangibles?
It's very important because you can kind of see it in the way he plays, right? He plays very controlled. He doesn't try to go for the big hit. He doesn't try to go for the highlight play. He just takes what's given to him and, fills his gaps and makes the proper reads. And in that way, he has good football IQ. He is a very controlled player. He's a guy that, can, get into the backfield, but also pursue a wide receiver and make a tackle. He's not necessarily a flashy player in the sense of making the big hit or, the highlight play, but he's a solid football player. And when you have guys that, you can count on and depend on to make, 10 tackles a game, 5 tackles a game, whatever, and play that style of football that's, just not safe, but sound technically and sound fundamentally, then that makes a huge difference.
I agree. Vish, you kind of want to elaborate on how that kind of plays into, what it takes to be successful from that, not only from just football, but from that position as a linebacker. You typically, a lot of times, you're the captain of that team, of that defense, and you need to put people in the right position to make the play.
Yeah, they call him the quarterback of the defense for a reason, right? It is exactly what you said. That the speed with which you can process, it's the most difficult position to play on defense because you got to kind of full on. Everyone has some run and pass responsibilities, but you're kind of right in the middle of that. So how quickly you diagnose plays and get to the right spot matters a lot. Blue's favorite former Hurricane Corey Flagg was good at diagnosing plays, which is what kept him on the field because he didn't necessarily have the speed or the athleticism, but was stayed on the field basically by doing that. So when you get the package together, which is what we're recruiting towards now, that's when you really take that next step. So yeah, no, that's definitely a focus. Done a good job there. So we'll see. We're kind of in wait and see mode on a lot of this because on paper.
Yeah, right.
And then we've been saying, and then the paper never seems to come to fruition for us, but on paper,
it
also,
is what it is. I get you.
I okay then.
Yeah, are you happy about that one, Vish, being a Cowboys fan?
Speaking about Ezekiel, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, Blue, I'm sorry to steal your
Oh,
time
yeah,
a
let's
little
talk
bit,
about that
Jazz,
real quick.
but yeah, Blue, I don't know if you've seen Xavier Collins play or if you have any thoughts on him.
Yeah, nice looking kid. Lake City, Columbia, Teal Green School, doing pretty well. They've come down a little bit because their nemesis across the city over in Lake City, Live Oak Swanee, has started to pick up Kelly Jennings School, just for a reference point. They a lot of those teams up that area do pretty well. It's just the competition level at if you're in the Gainesville area now, everybody goes to Buchholz, and the South Florida area. Everybody's. With the new classifications, Central's hungry. They didn't go to the state title game last year, which is kind of like a slap in the face to that program. So they went out and loaded up, and certainly Teddy Bridgewater's doing a great job at Northwestern. He'll have them in the mix over the next couple of years. So it's that Central program is like an endless loop of talent, and Miami's really tapped into it, over the last couple of years. Starting with Wes and then Blunt and arguably one of the best defensive linemen in the country, in Bain. And now with these two guys here, and I got talent. And that's what you got to do is if you're going to get to that next level and you're going to play with those big boys, you got to recruit like that. And being a top 5 team last year on top of what they brought in off the 23 class, with the Mawanoas and the Okanlolos and all those guys like that. So going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Miami's got the nucleus to win. And like I said, to be a playoff team. Everybody has, even the Alabamas and the Ohio States have a deficiency somewhere. Right now, Miami's deficiency would be in the secondary. But that being said, I think their front 7 has really afforded them for those younger defensive backs to kind of feel their way in. And offensively, they should score 45, 50 points a game with that offense.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. One more guy before we get into some potential prospects that are going to be committing soon is the kid that just committed about an hour ago. IMG 4-star linebacker. He's a blue chip guy. This is probably your prized possession in that linebacker core. Although I would probably say a lot of people's favorites is Elijah Melendez because he looks like he looks like Mr. Universe as a as a 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid. But again, it talks about how big, right? 6 foot. He's about 6 feet, 225 right now as a linebacker over at IMG. Commits to the Hurricanes about an hour ago, and the Hurricanes are not done yet. But another kid, Blue, who plays for obviously one of the top schools in the country. It's one of those schools that has men playing basically already, and he stands out as one of those men amongst boys over there. Gavin Nix is another huge prospect that Miami was able to land today. Talk to me a little bit about Nix.
One of the very few IMG kids that's really from Florida, Central Florida area. His dad played at Apopka. They were down for one of the spring events. Got a chance while he was hurt, and talked to Dad, who is a friend. My friend was his teammate in high school, and just probably the highest IQ, football IQ that I've seen. He knows. I mean, he's been around the game all his life, from youth league all the way to now. That's the reason why he went to IMG, to challenge himself rather than to play in the Central Florida area. But this is a kid that if he stays healthy, he's going to be the guy. I mean, he's, like you said, 6 foot, 225 area, quick, anticipates, reads offenses extremely well. And he's like even on a team as stacked as IMG is, he's going to be the quarterback on defense. He knows real well. The coaches trust him. He's going to come in and he's going to be one of the highest IQ kids they've had in years as far as football. From every standpoint, knows the game extremely well, and big pickup. But I think they've had him for a while. It's just that there were a few iron out type of things. But from what I found, this is like 5-6 weeks old. He's been a Hurricane. Just had a like in this day and age, you got to kind of check, you check your ledger a little bit. So, and that's what happened. Or you end up like, what's his name? Jaden Rashada.
Right. Exactly. We totally get where you're coming from now for sure. Oh man. Yes. I know college football, don't get me started. I don't even have PS5, and so I'm not going to be able to play right away. But listen, again, another big time prospect, as you mentioned earlier. Miami moves 10 spots up from number 25 to 15 in the rankings, in the recruiting rankings. I know it doesn't matter to a lot of people, but it matters to a lot of people. So that's great movement. Again, as we mentioned, Miami wins 10, 11 games, gets to a playoff, and who cares, right? Like, this is a top 5 recruiting program again next year. And if they win 10 games and make it to a decent bowl game, probably a top 5 program as well when it comes to recruiting. We just got to win. We got to win, and winning cures everything. So, we're getting to that point. However, we do got a couple of prospects. One is, we'll just go out flat out and name Hilton Stubbs. Is a kid that recently decommitted from USC, was committed there. He is another blue chip safety. And Miami, it has been crystal ball to Miami. I think at this point, it's kind of inevitable that he is going to commit to the Hurricanes. Never say never. Anything can happen. But it looks like he's going to be pulling the trigger. I think it's tomorrow or the day after. Blue, you kind of talked a little bit about it without talking about it. But is he the number one commit if he does pull the trigger and commits to the Miami Hurricanes?
Yeah, he'll be the highest rated player Miami has in this class. Just a man-child. And another kid that hung out, as I talked to you before, at Miami's spring games, or spring 3 times. So you just don't come down there if you're not going to, and his friend Derek Plass, who played, his senior year with him.
Right.
Just the parents love it. He loves it. The USC thing probably was a smokescreen for a while. But this kid, he comes in, big time kid, 3 and see ya. That's what he's going to be. He's just a great teammate. You know, I got a chance to watch him a lot. You know, I saw him obviously in the state championship game, but I saw him in the off season as he played, you know, for a 7-on-7 team, and just always. And you know what the great thing is, whenever you ask him about another person, never said a bad word about anybody. Oh, that kid's the best, or that's great. You know, he's one of the. You know, you gotta like a guy like that, whether he means it or not. You know, he doesn't need to build his status on knocking somebody down. And yeah, once he signs on that dotted line next whenever, December or whenever he's coming in, I think he's coming in early. Miami just got one of the top kids. You know, he's definitely a kid who wanted to be here really from the beginning. And I think the USC, Stanford, Oregon, Cal lure now, you know, with those teams in UCLA being in the Big Ten and the ACC, kind of takes away that West Coast, you know, mystique anymore, because, you know, USC goes to Michigan, UCLA goes to Penn State, you know, Oregon plays Ohio State. So, you know, I mean, and to me, you might as well be in your home state and play that type of schedule, you know, where people could come to see you. Parents in 5 hours could be down here or fly down in an hour. You know, I mean, it's just really one of those things where you get a kid like that who wanted to be here, you know, Duke Johnson type guy who wanted to be here from the beginning. And nothing beats that. And the same thing, you know, tonight when I was talking to Buchanan, I said, are you one of those quiet kids who are just going to, you know, be happy that you committed here, or you're going to start being a sales guy? And he said, oh, I'm going to try to take kids and make them decommit from where they're at. He said. So you gotta like that attitude. And I think Drake brings that type of thing too.
That's awesome. Really excited about that. And one more guy that I kind of wanted to put out there that Miami has a real shot of landing also. I'm not sure if they're the favorites or not, but Jarquez Carter is a defensive lineman,
Newberry kid,
who's a really good prospect, another four-star kid that could come in, and again, another highly rated blue chip type of guy at the defensive line position.
Well, if they get him,
yeah,
they've done their job, because his school's 6 miles from the University of Florida. So, and he's a kid as a 9th grader was noticed, and everybody on Newberry, all the linemen, especially the 3.8, 4.0 GPAs. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a big time kid. And if Miami lands him, I mean, they've certainly done their job, Vish. You know, I mean, you get a guy like that who is right in the backyard of the University of Florida. I mean, that's really tough. That's why I think the pressure for Vernell Brown to go to Florida is greater, because his dad went there, his granddad went there. You know, I mean, it's awfully tough to, although it's happened before where, you know, guys like Maurice Crumb's son goes to Notre Dame and, you know, other guys. But, you know, I think that a kid like that, if they pick him up, they'll go into the top 10. And certainly I know the one guy you want to talk about is a kid that I think is going to be an impact player. We talked about it as Herbert Scroggins.
Yes. Herbert Scroggins is that kid. He's the kind of guy that you look at him now, you say, if he grows into that body, he's going to be an All-American. That's how good he is.
Yeah, he overwhelms. Whether he goes out at a tight end or an offensive tackle, he overwhelms him with his first step. And you imagine him getting in here and working with Jason Taylor. And you speak about a first step. This kid overwhelms people now. Imagine if he learned a couple of other things. He's going to be virtually unblockable. I mean, this kid could get 16, 17 sacks. That's the type of guy he is. And, wow, I think it's people don't understand, the 3-star on what basis? I mean, this kid's a big time kid. I mean, it's just like Joshua Moore, who went to Florida, and everybody's deeming him a 3-star. You got to be kidding me. That kid's a borderline 5-star kid because he makes plays. And at the end of the day, when you make plays, that's the end result. I mean, in my book, it is. You could have 10 stars if you want, but if you don't catch the ball, but that's the one thing about in this evaluation process. And I know everybody, kind of clings to, what the On3s or 24/7 or Rivals put out star-wise. But you got to understand, the only thing that matters is the production. And I think this kid's a massive producer at any level.
It's going to be fun to see him play. It's going to be fun to see a lot of these kids play. I'm really excited about it. Blue, is there anybody out there on the horizon that Miami fans should keep an eye out for that could be the next ones to commit to the Kings as well?
I think you mentioned, like in Drake and somebody like, Jarquez. I think those are two guys that have an opportunity to change his program. There's a couple of other stragglers you don't know because they're committed at other places. But see, that's going to be the job of those commitments,
Right.
to kind of shake those kids loose and say, hey, listen, come play with us. I mean, we had a great 25 class going, and it's just like, you remember back in the day when all these classes started, communicating with each other in the off season and becoming, like Luke Nickel does with the 25 class. I mean, he reaches out to all those guys.
Yeah.
And, we had him last week and he talked about that very thing. The only way, before you get on campus and actually become, part of the class, by the time you get on campus, you already know everybody, and what a great thing. You don't have to, you could slice through everything and just, because you've talked to them so much, you've FaceTime with them plenty of times. You've had an opportunity to see them, at camps and such. And, somebody like a Luke Nickel opens up here actually it's the second game, but they play at American Heritage this year. So it's going to be pretty much the showdown between one of the top 26 quarterbacks in Diabell, who just committed to Texas, and Luke Nickel, who's arguably one of the best 2025 quarterbacks and still climbing the ladder. And if people doubt that, then why is it LSU and Michigan and Georgia and Alabama and Wisconsin and Tennessee still call him all the time? So,
There's a reason.
Yeah, there is a reason.
There's a reason. Anyways, I think that what we're gonna have to do is just kind of keep a close eye. I mean, this summer is going to be hot for more kids committing. As we mentioned earlier, it's about, I mean, the signing period in December has changed everything, right? So I think that's gonna be huge for Miami to kind of dig deep and get a couple more guys. We'll definitely dive deeper into recruiting and rankings. I want to get everybody's take on who their favorite recruit is so far. Vish has a ton of those guys that he can name off the top of his head of who his favorite. I mean,
this is why you have me on the show, right? It's for my deep recruiting expertise. I mean, are we going like recent commit, or can I cop out and say Luke Nickel because he's the opposite?
Yeah, you can do that. Sure, you can do that. Why not?
I mean, Blue touched on it. He's one of the, if not the best quarterback in the country, one of them. But he's also, all in on Miami. He's helping recruit. He's been on the show.
I mean,
which automatically,
we got to get some more of those kids on
automatically elevates him to the top of. No,
Yep.
but I mean, he's seriously, the reason, obviously, like, it's easy to name, like, oh, he's probably the most notable recruit in that class, but it's also those are the game winners, and I feel like that's something we haven't been that bad, not as bad as the record has shown, but we just don't have guys that can win the games at the end. Like, I'll go back to Blues guy again. Corey Flagg at the end of the Clemson game, that's like an oasis in the desert. Most of the time, we get down to those last 5 minutes and we do a series of boneheaded things. The plays are there to be made. We don't make them. Obviously, Georgia Tech is a big example of that, where we basically had to not make 5 bad plays in a row, and we did all of them. but even NC State, we drove down to the 3-yard line. As bad as that game was, a good team punches the ball in and wins the game. We don't, and then let them go 97 yards, and it's like, oh, it's over. Right. So I think when you get guys like Nickel, I think, he'll be the successor to the throne here, because I think we have a quarterback now that also fits that bill. Those are guys that you get to those last 5 minutes of the game, last 10 minutes of the game, crunch time in the fourth quarter. Even our better players, they weren't stepping up and winning those games for us. We had 2 of the better safeties in the ACC, and they blew the cover against Georgia Tech. So it's not, that's why I look across the class. He's a guy I think, you put the program in his hands, you're going to see some things. And I think, there's a lot of, we got to do everything this year because we got Cam Ward for 1 year. We got Luke Nickel after that. And I think that is the succession plan, as much as everyone's stressing. Like, there's a lot of pressure on the team this year to maximize that 1 year we have with Cam Ward. But I am totally fine with Nickel stepping into those shoes because I think he's a winner. And I think we haven't had that at that position. We've had talented players, like, if we say what you want about TVD, certainly has arm strength. Like, Stephen Morris could throw the hell out of the football. So could Kaya. We haven't had winners, though.
Right. And
I think he's a winner. And you have that position, everything else will fall into place.
I'm with you on that. DJ, any last words there for any of these recruits that have committed recently?
Kevin Nix is a guy that I really like. I mean, when you look at the linebacker position and you want to build a top defense, you want to go for linebackers that can take away sides of the field. And I think Nix has the ability to do that. He can cover ground really well, make tackles, and also rush the passer. And again, when you think about today's game of college football, it's an offensive-minded game. And, Nix has the ability to really kind of, not only take away, sides of the field in terms of his pursuit angles and his ability to read plays, but also to get into offensive backfields and disrupt them as well. And I think, when you're looking at the linebacker position, you need fast, athletic linebackers that can be impact playmakers and give quarterbacks nightmares. And I think Nix can be that guy.
I agree.
Nice.
We got a great show for you guys tomorrow. We got two great shows, Chaos in Formula One, and Miami Hurricanes baseball is starting to look a little better, man. We're starting to have some hope there on the recruiting.
I mean, talk about like on paper, but stuff is coming together, man.
On paper, it's coming. On paper, we're going Omaha, right?
Yeah, I mean, every year.
If only championships were on paper, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Unbelievable, man.
Paper champs. They have done a pretty. And we'll obviously talk about this tomorrow on Kansas. They've done an impressive job of reconstructing this roster.
They have, and I'm sure they're not done because they've got some. They still have some work to do, but it's nice to see. We'll talk about that tomorrow at 9:30. We also got Hitting the Apex at 9 o'clock. So watch that as the Formula One is just a big debacle right now. It's debauchery all over the place. So it should be a fun time to talk smack about some of the stuff that's going on there. And as I mentioned, recruiting is taking off not only for football but for baseball as well. And I know, Vish, you've got buckets sometime this week as well. I know you've been doing it on a Saturday recently.
Yeah, no, we don't have buckets this week because we were going to do it Thursday, but we're going to be blowing shit up. So hopefully,
that's awesome.
Cover your dog's ears. Shit's going down.
I will be, guys, tomorrow and Thursday. I will be over at. I don't know why I do this to myself, but the only reason is because Boston is in town. The Red Sox are in town to face the Marlins, so I am going to be out at the game tomorrow and on Thursday. Nice. And on Thursday for 4th of July. It's an early game, so then we're going to hang out at my mom's after. But you got to take advantage of it when they're in town. Go watch.
Do you really though with this team? Do you really?
Hey, they're not doing so bad.
You're not doing so bad, but at the same time,
they've got a lot of talent.
I can one up all of that because I will be at Marlins White Sox on Friday.
I know. That sounds exciting.
The worst. I mean, I think I see better.
That's a battle for the number one pick, right?
I mean, there was better quality baseball play at the Light this year than I'm going to witness, but we'll persevere.
Well, let's go for the Marlins there because Pete. Although I do know Pete Grifol personally.
Pedro Grifol.
Yep, Pedro Grifol. I call him Pete. Yeah. Pedro Grifol, who is. For you Marlins fans and Kings fans, you're going to be rooting for the Marlins. He's a former Florida State player. He played at Florida State many, many, many years ago, but he's a local kid as well. I know he's been down here a lot. He used to do a lot of coaching showcases with Coach Grifol back in the day, a long time ago. He actually used to be out at Mark Light a lot to work with guys like Mike Tozar and some other guys. So I do wish him well. I think he's an excellent coach. I think he's been dealt a pretty shitty hand there in Chicago with that White Sox team, but that's a tough team to coach right now. So all the best to Coach Grifol, but the Marlins, they do have our Miami Hurricane coaching first base. So I guess we'll be leaning towards John Jay and the fighting
And they
Marlins
did
there.
knock 2 Phillies out for a while.
Yeah, they did. So, but they get to play Boston, and Boston is doing all right. They're looking okay.
Yeah, very good.
They got some young talent there that's playing really well. Jaron Duran and Zidane Rafaela and
Tanner Alka's holding his own on the mound. So
yeah, Cutter Crawford.
Yeah.
You've got some good pitching, and
that happens when you suck for like 20 years. So it's like the Orioles.
All the young guys are apparently now starting to figure it out. So that's
good.
Exciting for the Red Sox. I mean, they're still a mile away from Baltimore and New York right now, but they're competitive. They took 2 or 3, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from the Yankees a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Listen, that's all that matters. It's like Miami beating FSU. If everything else goes wrong, at least they beat FSU. So
hey, if the Orioles are smart, they get Trevor Bauer. Man, how come no one's picking him up?
Because he's politics and blackball.
Yeah, but they've already cleared him of that everything.
No,
they haven't.
There were 3 alleged incidents. The third one, and he sued and won on this, so it certainly was fabricated. The other 2 he has not been cleared of. I think it was kind of a bandwagon try to get his money after the other 2 came out.
That guy pushes a team over the top. I've been watching him playing Mexico. And
he's
Japan
the real deal.
Year.
He's nasty.
He still throws 96.
I mean, he's a great pitcher.
Yeah.
I think.
I can think of a couple of guys that are doing a lot worse crap than he is, and
I'm sure,
and they're doing all right. So, but I get it. It is what it is.
I got a quick show and tell.
Show and tell. Of course, we're not finishing.
Technology.
There we go.
We're not finishing. Technology.
This is the 50th.
I'm on it. Hold on.
This is the 50th. Oh, can you get it?
Yeah.
This is the 50th Orange Bowl.
Wow.
Can you get that or no?
Yeah, we got it.
I mean, you're zoomed in all the way. I don't know what else you want me to.
The schedule. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's when they lost the opening game to Florida. Then they won the national title. Then I pulled out a couple of programs. This is when Tommy Tuberville was the defensive coordinator.
Who else is there?
Oh boy, George Smith.
And then that was back from 1993.
Tommy Tuberville. What a character that guy is right now.
Yeah, character is one way to put it.
Yeah.
My
goodness.
So that's it. I got a few things there. I got. I'll have a lot more stuff next. Hey, oh my gosh, who was the head basketball coach? The guy couldn't coach a game, but he's Leonard Hamilton.
Oh man, young Leonard, man, young Leonard.
You had to do that to us, didn't you?
But FSU should serve as a beacon for the Miami baseball team because they were one of the top terrible teams in the country last year, and then they went to the Final Four this year. So
yeah.
Anything can happen.
That's definitely the motto right there. But I think
anything can happen, and that's it.
Right, so
Miami. Randy Shannon was a linebacker coach that year, and Art Keogh,
Big Daddy Art.
Yeah, no doubt. But that was these are fun.
By the way, is that Sunkist can empty or is it full?
No, it's empty.
It
would taste like freaking.
I mean, if it wasn't empty, we'd have to open it.
I know we would have had to open it right now.
Yeah, just see what chemical. Well, first you have to put a hazmat suit on. Then see what happens.
Do they still have Tang or no?
I don't think so.
I don't know, man.
You remember? No, you guys are too young for that.
No,
but
I do remember Tang.
It used to be the drink that the astronauts used to drink.
Tang,
I'm thinking to myself, God damn, I almost puke here. Would imagine up in space with that was terrible. It tastes like a cough medicine.
Sunkist was awesome though. I used to love.
Sunkist is great.
It's great, man. It's great.
Sunkist, what do you mean was awesome?
Knee-high grape.
Awesome.
There's been some good sodas. I'm telling you.
Orange drink, baby. Let's go. Anyways, all
right. Orange Crush.
We'll see you guys tomorrow on Canes on Deck and Hit the Apex. Have a good night, everybody.
See you next week.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know,